NinjaRob Podcast with Marco Perazzo and Tim Carpenter. The podcast for the true martial artist.
How about that intro?
Yes. Pretty. I really like how he says my last name.
Better than you can say it.
That's what I said earlier.
So what is your last name?
Perazzo, but you're supposed to reintroduce the show.
Oh, yeah. This is the NinjaRob Podcast. I'm Tim Carpenter, owner, head instructor of Hellfish Mixed Martial Arts, black belt in jiu-jitsu, MMA fighter, jiu-jitsu competitor, husband, dog father.
So I'm Marco Perazzo.
And we're here with Marco Perazzo.
Tim Carpenter is my sidekick. Nothing? You're just going to eat that one, huh?
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right, cool.
The fans know the truth.
I am a true father, a true husband, a true black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, third degree. So a couple people said we really need to make sure that people know what our rank
What
is.
degrees we are?
Yeah. But let's get into, I know it's not on the notes.
Should people know that I'm senior?
You got it
Senior black
before,
belt?
yeah, you got it before me, but that's because of calendaring issues.
Okay. Still,
What did
you
what
really
did-
acknowledge that I'm your superior.
Yes, but you're my sidekick on this show, so that's fine.
All right.
How did your wife like the podcast?
She hated it. She said she felt like it was funny. We were on our way up to a fight. One of our students or two of our students were fighting, and on our way up, by the time she got there, she was like seriously like upset with me because of our arguments. She felt like it was like she had PTSD.
I feel like we've hit a sweet spot.
Yeah.
My wife's reaction was her first 5 minutes of listening. She's like, "Jesus, you're a douche."
Yeah.
She's like, "I really didn't like how you were talking to Tim." I go, "He could defend himself
She's
quite
seen
fine."
us before.
Yeah,
She's been around.
but she seems to like you. So
Yeah, I don't know why.
me neither. It's kind of off-putting. So yeah, we're black belts. We own schools. We do podcasts. We train fighters. I cornered you for most of your fights. People don't realize that. The only one I didn't corner you for.
Not the only one. It was the first. You didn't corner me my first.
I didn't corner you first. What other one didn't I corner you
The
for?
second.
Which one was the second one?
Oh no, you were. Yeah, you were. I don't know if you were in the corner.
Was that what Christian was throwing with the?
First three, Christian was there
Yeah.
as my manager. I think you were there. Third on.
Third on. Yeah, that's when your career really
It did
took
really
off.
Took off.
Yeah,
after the
yeah,
third.
that's it.
Combat in the cage.
Yeah. So, what do we got on plate today on deck?
We're gonna talk about the recent fights.
Yeah, what UFC are you referring to?
The UFC, the last one, that last weekend.
The one that we talked about last week?
We didn't talk about it because it hadn't happened yet.
The one with BJ Penn, or is
No,
there a different?
Dos Anjos versus Kevin Lee.
I didn't even know I didn't even know they fought each other.
Yeah, it was it was a really good fight.
Was it in Rochester, New York?
I don't know where it was.
Okay.
It was on TV. But it was a really good fight.
Man, we're really on top of this MMA.
No, it was a really good fight, but it was like if you're a fan of like watching like two really good MMA fighters combining striking and grappling, it was awesome. Like a lot of good grappling exchanges, and then it ended with a cool submission.
I think Dos Anjos won, but I don't know.
Yeah, he won.
Submit him?
Submitted him in the fourth or fifth, I think it was
What did he submit him with?
arm triangle. Kevin Lee was getting tired, took a shot, got stuffed, and then Dos Anjos took him out. And
Kevin Lee's pretty
Lee's
skilled.
Kevin Lee's awesome. He's a beast.
I like my best memory of Kevin Lee is him fighting with staph.
Yeah.
He had a big giant staph infection.
I think he's got like 2-3 losses in a row, but he's very good. Yeah, I like watching him fight, but he's kind of like stuck in between weight classes. He's like he's almost too big for 55, and probably not big enough for 170.
Wrestler, striking.
Wrestler,
I think he trains at the Mayweather.
He's good at
gym.
everything. He's got a lot of wins by submission. Puts a lot of people to sleep with rear
Dewey
naked
Cooper
chokes.
is a striking coach. Black Cobra.
Black Cobra, yeah. So that was the one fight that I saw, but you don't have much to say about that because you didn't see it.
Now, I get to say a lot about it, but I don't care to.
And then there was the ONE FC. Did you see Sage Northcutt?
I did see Sage Northcutt get, man.
He got his face broken in 9 places, I think.
So I was talking about this today. It was the first punch thrown in the fight, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And well, as impressive as that punch was, the fact that Sage Northcutt was able to get up off the canvas and stand there next to his opponent and congratulate him after. I think it came out he had 8 or 9 different fractures in his face.
Yeah.
8 or 9 hour surgery. Like, man, I thought that was crazy. You seem to be dismissive of his ability.
No,
to handle pain.
it's a bad injury and everything. But I mean, you don't know when you get hit in the face. You don't know that your face is broken in 9 places till you go. Like he was.
You don't feel it. That
he was still.
Those fractures are just
probably half
numb?
unconscious still. Probably didn't feel anything until he got backstage, and then he's like, "Man, my face really hurts." It probably swole up a lot.
Yeah, I still think it was pretty impressive that he was able to stand there. That I'd never heard of that. The Brazilian guy,
Cosmo.
Yeah, lot of Muay Thai experience.
Really good. He's really good striker.
Fought in Bellator. I read an article about him. He's like, I didn't even know who Sage Northcutt was before I fought him. Because they sent me a video of him. This is what he does.
Yeah.
And I became a fan of Cosmo after reading the article about him. Having thankfully the fight was just basically an 8-second highlight, so I didn't have to invest too much time into it. But he was saying that he was getting back at his Twitter fans, like saying, "Hey, don't talk crap on Sage. He went in there, like it's not his fault that I crushed his face. It's like he's a fighter. It happens. It's He said, I don't want him to be hurt. And this is something that you've talked about. Like it's a violent game, but you wouldn't. It didn't sound like he did, or you would want to permanently injure an opponent.
Yeah, it's a weird. Like it's funny because when you're in there, you really want to hurt them. You want to like break their face. And that's what you throw the punch with the intention to break their face and knock them out.
Cosmo,
but then
Cosmo
as soon as it's over, you're like, oh shit, I might. I mean, some people. I felt this way if I hit somebody. Like afterwards, I'd be like, I hope they're okay. But I'm sure there's some people that relish in the fact that they broke somebody's face.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive, man. Like the guy, those little gloves, MMA. If you can time it right and it looked like he did, I feel bad for Sage Northcutt.
Why?
He had to get a 9-hour surgery, bro.
So I never feel bad really when somebody loses. Like the two guys are in there. They're both trained fighters.
No. I don't feel bad that he lost. I feel bad that he's got a pretty bad injury.
Yeah, that's one of the worst parts of fighting. Is like even if you win, you could end up in the hospital for 9 hours. And even if you're not in surgery for 9 hours, you're just sitting in the fucking waiting room for 9 hours.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of fights where even though I would win, I have to go get stitches afterwards, and or your face is just like swollen, your shins hurt, everything's banged up. Yeah, it's not fun.
Who else fought on that card? Gary Tonon fought somebody that he heel hooked pretty quickly.
Heel hooked in like 30 seconds.
It was like left, right, single leg into Ashigarami for a heel hook.
Yeah.
Finish, maybe 30, 35 seconds? Do you think this is viable for him moving forward as he moves up the food chain in competition? That's, as Danaher, as I look to the heavens, as I say his name, is doing the grapple boxing that he talks about?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the best way to fight. There's so rare to see people combine striking and grappling. They're either striking or they're grappling. They might use like one strike to set up a takedown or a fake takedown to set up a strike, but it's rare that you see somebody put it together the way like GSP used to do it.
Probably the best at it, right?
Yeah, so far. But if Tonon can adopt that same strategy with his level of grappling and just get sort of like his striking up to a competent level, I think he'll be super, super dangerous.
But, if you looked at George St. Pierre's fight, he'd use it much differently for actually getting the takedown where Gary Tonon
Tonon's got a little bit different.
He could be way more reckless with his jiu-jitsu than maybe George St. Pierre could.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with the leg lock guys in MMA because you've seen leg locks in grappling really dominate over the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
But you haven't seen that translate into MMA. Still, you don't see many people finishing.
No, the scary guy back in the UFC was Polaris, right?
Yeah, that was years ago before people were really into it. Like his leg locks by today's standards aren't even that
they're not high
complicated.
tech.
Right, they're not high tech.
Yeah.
They're like brutal. But you still there hasn't been really any leg lock specialists come in and use this sort of new systems that work really well in grappling. I still think leg locks aren't that great for MMA.
Yeah, we'll have to see. You know, it's like it's an interesting study, and I think Tonon is a good kind of sounding board for it because he's with the right people for Leglocks, obviously, and all around kind of grapple boxing, and
Shoot boxing.
shoot box. Pardon me, grapple shooting, and he seems to be taking the right fights, right? Like building a record, getting his experiences, you know, probably sparring a bunch and all that good stuff, but being able to get in there and test, hey, does this work?
Yeah. He said he's going to start, he said his last couple fights he's been trying to get ring time in and like work on stuff. And he said now he's just trying to like destroy people quickly. So like quickest path to victory.
Most efficient
Path to victory. Yeah, but like I said, I'm really interested to see him see what happens with the leg locks against higher level competition.
Because now, and I wonder if we'll see the you know, like the leg lock guys coming into MMA because, you know, some of these guys are really making a hell of a living being jiu-jitsu competitors, you know, instructional DVDs. Yeah, so they may not need to.
You could take a pay cut going into MMA now.
Yeah, right.
If you're these guys that are doing these big seminars and stuff.
But staying on with Gary Tonon, he had said some interesting things about who he wants, you know, who his dream fight would be.
Who is it?
Kron.
Is it Kron or Kron?
I don't know.
I've always said Kron.
Kron?
Yeah.
All right, we'll go with Kron. Rickson's son.
Kron,
He must love hearing that. Oh, you're Rickson's son, right?
Yeah.
And I'm Kron Gracie. I'm, you know.
I bet Tonon would probably. I'm trying to think. I think Tonon might beat him in an MMA fight.
You think?
I think so. I think Tonon's more comfortable with his hands. I would say he's more well-rounded in jiu-jitsu as far as like his
better wrestling for sure.
Better wrestling.
Better leg locks. Because we've never really seen Kron do any leg locks.
Kron doesn't really do leg locks. He's like guillotines, renegade chokes, and arm bars.
Right.
He's basic but super effective. But yeah, that would be an awesome fight. Too bad they're in different organizations now.
Yeah,
but actually UFC and one they'll do some cross promotional stuff.
Well, they did the trade. They traded Demetrius for Ben Askren.
And I'll bet Tonon will be in the UFC within like 2 years.
You think?
Yeah.
You got USADA to deal with.
You think he's on the juice?
I don't know, but I'm saying like there's one of the benefits of fighting in Japan or wherever in Southeast Asia, Singapore. Pardon me.
I think does one have testing?
No, but they have an interesting hydration weight cutting thing where it's almost impossible to cut weight.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you have to be like percentage of weight. Like I don't know the exact, you know, like what's going on with it, but
who do you got in that fight?
Kron versus
If
Tonon?
that happens today.
I see everything you're saying about like the more developed fighter at this point in their careers is Tonon, but Kron just seems to have a little bit of just that edge to him, and he's
the edge
fought,
of having the Gracie name.
The edge of having the Gracie name.
Plus, he has a win by submission over Tonon.
He does in grappling, but he's fought much stiffer competition earlier on in his career. You know, like if we were to look at his opponent's records versus Tonon's opponent's records, I bet you it's, you know. I
think Tonon has more fights, right?
Not by much, I don't think.
I thought Kron maybe only had
We might want to know this stuff.
Yeah. Very. People don't come here for facts.
No, they come here for our opinions. And, you know, oddly, we haven't argued yet, but I'm working on it.
Yes, we have.
We have?
No, we haven't.
We could agree not to argue, but there's really nothing to argue about.
So far, am I doing better on the mic?
Nice.
That was my main goal for this one.
You're doing okay.
All right.
So I would go with Kron because he's had better. He's fought more experienced fighters. It would be an interesting fight, though. I think the stand up I would give to Tonon. The wrestling I give to Tonon. The guard jiu-jitsu I give to Kron. The leg locks I give to Tonon. And I think the other areas of jiu-jitsu, you know, the more basic positions, I think Kron's probably better than Tonon is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Agree to disagree.
Or not.
Rickson and Leglocks.
No. All right. Yes.
That seems like a natural way to go into it.
Yeah.
We went from Kron
I wanted to
Gary
talk about
Tonon and Leglocks.
Paulie Malignaggi spitting on
I
Pelican.
haven't seen it, but you've told me about it.
Yeah, so we'll get back to that. But yeah, so Rickson has recently come out and said that he thinks that leg locks are great. They're in your practice, as he likes to say.
Practice.
They're super effective, and that people should be training them. He didn't quite get in. He didn't say. I think he said heel hooks, knee bars, toe holds. He's like, it's all important.
Yeah, I said, and I was like, a big deal. Like that's like a very seemingly like obvious thing to say. But then you made a good point. You said like,
No, what he said. It's who's listening to him saying it.
It's a kind of a big deal for a Gracie to say that.
It's kind of a big deal for Rickson to say it, right?
Yeah.
Because what's his thing? It's all these things need to be effective, right? And what's become probably one of the most effective aspects of jiu-jitsu now, right? Because of the deep dive that a lot of people have been taking is leg locks, right? The heel hook more than anything, I would think.
But I think a lot of the heel hook game, I think people, without even Rickson saying it, people noticed it. And you've seen leg locks have become less effective already. You know what I mean? People are just, not that they're less effective, it's just that people have gotten better at defending. People understand them now. When, like, a couple years ago, when the Danaher guys first came out, they were just, people had no idea what was coming out.
And they didn't realize how deep of the levels of defense you needed to have or countering to get out of them. Before it was just spin to get out. Right. Spin to get out, or, and then
before the heel hook was just like fall back and rip it across your body.
Right.
And then these guys,
now these guys are like,
system.
Exactly. Like, locking up figure fouring inside, outside ashigaramis and, like systematically attacking, the breaking mechanics as those guys would call it. But going back to, Rickson talking about the effectiveness of leg locks really gives some people out there that have been poo-pooing leg locks for, yes, poo-poo, have been poo-pooing leg locks for a long time, pause, I would think, right? Because if you're still anti-leg lock, if the guy that talks self-defense, this needs to work for fighting, and is saying, hey, you know what, man, you need to train leg locks. Well, who else do we need to hear it from if you're not in the leg lock camp?
Yeah. I think leg locks are super effective for grappling and self-defense, but not so much for MMA fighting. I think in MMA fighting, I don't think you'll see them become very effective, but I think in like a real fight situation, like I think they could be super effective.
You remember seeing that basketball fight? Those guys were, and he's like, I'll tear you.
You'll never be able to
play basketball. You never be able to play basketball again. He's like, I'll tear it.
Yeah.
So definitely, especially with high tops on.
No, actually, that's the thing is with a sneaker on, I've tried to heel hook people with sneakers on, and the sneaker always pops off.
You're not doing it correctly.
Their shoes weren't tied enough.
So, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we have enough people pushing leg locks in MMA to see. So everybody that we have now, I agree with you. As it moves forward and the higher level guys decide that they want to get into it and attack leg locks, I think your opinion may change because we might see a level of effectiveness that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So you don't think like
there will always be guys that'll catch people with leg locks here and there, but I don't think it'll be like when you look at, I think even if somebody put up a chart of like the submissions in Abu Dhabi, I think it's like rear naked choke is like number one. It's like rear naked choke, armbar, triangle. Like those are like the main things that will always be effective. And then heel hooks, I think, especially in a fight, give up position to get a leg when a guy can like stand over you,
smash your face,
like smash you up against the fence and beat the shit out of you. I think it's just too big of a risk. But
we'll see.
I might be wrong.
But I like the fact that, and I'm a huge Rickson Gracie fan. Just that he's open to the fact that these are effective techniques, and he's not saying they're bullshit.
Yeah.
Which a lot of guys have said. You don't need to learn them. That's not jiu-jitsu.
The thing I like about leg locks a lot is like not even just getting it as a finish, but it can open up tons of sweeps, guard passes, like using leg locks instead of just as submissions, but as almost like a Kimura trap.
Right.
Using it
like
to
my
advance
Australian
position.
best friend does, Craig Jones.
What?
He in Abu Dhabi, right, against the threat of leg locks or the entry into leg locks opened up other positions where he finished Leandro Lowe with the rear naked choke, but it was based off of fighting out of using the leg lock positions and then also triangling Murillo Santana.
It wasn't. It had
But
nothing to do with
but I'm
us.
saying like, if you'd let me finish, this is at least now we're getting a little chippy here. That his leg lock game is so strong that if you're avoiding that, it opened up other areas of his game.
I concede that.
You conceded it?
I concede that.
Concede it or concede it?
Concede.
Giving up.
I can see that, and I concede it.
Okay.
Both.
Awesome. So yeah, I agree with you. I think using the leg locks as a way of opening up other aspects of your jiu-jitsu is probably what the future of grappling holds for itself, because of the community becoming more immune, right?
Mhm.
Like it's like vaccination, right? If more people are doing leg locks, then more people are working on the counters and the defenses, so more people are going to be able to defend them. They're not going to be as easy to get.
Yeah, you lost me a couple minutes ago.
At immunization
Yeah.
or inoculation?
Vaccination.
You're an
I'm
anti-vaxxer?
big anti-vaxxer.
Nice, at least from a leg lock perspective. I'm an anti-vaxxer. So yeah, so I think that we'll see. But moving on. Thank you, Rickson, for agreeing with us that have taken a deep dive into good jiu-jitsu, but also leg locks.
And I don't understand how leg locks got separated out of jiu-jitsu. Like it's like you should learn jiu-jitsu. Leg locks are part of jiu-jitsu.
Pete Ferroni, who's one of our students at NJMA, he's like, yeah, why do I want to start learning this stuff at brown belt? What doesn't make any sense? Like they've taken some techniques out. I understand from a safety standpoint, you institute rules and all this other stuff, but I don't necessarily agree. Maybe the heel hook, but even the heel hook.
I teach white belts heel hooks. But I also teach them, like, when you get it, like, work on getting it tight. Don't work on cranking it.
The finishing mechanics.
Right.
Yeah. So now can we talk about Palakau getting spit on?
Yeah. Where was it?
So I guess Artem Lobov has a scheduled bare-knuckle boxing fight against Paulie Malignaggi.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is some YouTube headline. I'm like, Malignaggi spits on Lobov. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll look at this later. They're talking back and forth. And I'm watching the press conference, and I go, I know I just had a corneal abrasion, but that looks like Brian Palakau. And lo and behold, I guess David Feldman is promoting the fight.
Oh, yeah.
And they went up to New York. And next thing you know, well, for whatever reason, and I think Paulie Malignaggi's a turd for doing it, spits on Artem Lobov, and a little bit of phlegm catches Brian Palakau, who's in the mix.
Nice. Do you think he was upset about it or happy to be a part of history like that?
I would be.
I think there's a part of him that was like, "Oh, this is so cool." Paulie Malignaggi spit on me.
I hope not. I really hope that he's not happy to get spit on by another human male.
But it's different. If you get hit with like a ricochet spit, then if the guy spits on you, is disrespectful.
Collateral saliva.
You get hit with you get caught in the crossfire. I mean, it's still like gross.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you're still part of the history of that moment.
That you got sprayed with spit at a press conference by some bum boxer.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a bum. He's a former world champion, right?
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Why?
I don't know. Not a Malignaggi fan.
Why not? He's a paisan.
That's probably part of it, right? We hate our own, typically. He's from Brooklyn. He thinks he's the toughest guy in the world.
Don't all boxers think they're the toughest guy in the world?
Yeah, but he doesn't hit very hard. He thinks that now that he's going to be doing bare knuckle, he's going to knock guys out.
I'm interested to see a good boxer.
That would be interesting because if everything goes right, he should beat the crap out of Artem Lobov. But
yeah, bare knuckle's a whole different thing.
Yeah, and you can't hit as hard, right?
Can't hit it. I mean,
maybe you can.
Some of those guys, I've seen some of those fights where they just go in there and they throw like they're wearing 16-ounce gloves.
Well, you remember when you were? I think we were in Oklahoma, and what was the
Spirit Wolf?
So MMA fighter by the name of Spirit Wolf, and we're watching him get his hands wrapped, Devin, right? And he says, "Don't cover my knuckles." He goes, "I need to let them breathe." Right?
No, he said he.
Well,
so it was legally you only have to have your thumb and wrist wrapped.
Right.
Most fighters want to get their whole hand wrapped so they don't break their hands, but he was like, "No, I want to feel the punches." Broke both of his hands in the first round.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was good.
But he fought for 3 rounds with 2 broken hands.
Yeah.
Lost the fight.
Yeah.
I think everybody in that room that night lost the fight. Like every single person.
Who were you fighting that night? Was that
View?
Travis View? Oh, that was Florida then.
Yeah, Florida.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, Malignaggi is a bum. I don't know. He's not.
Well,
a
I
bum,
mean,
but-
I don't think Malignaggi's a bum. I think Lobov is somewhat of a bum.
Lobov is definitely a bum. Like when we
He's one of the toughest dudes. Like,
Yes.
as far as like he can take a serious
Malignaggi's
punch.
a way more skilled boxer than Lobov is a skilled MMA fighter.
Right.
And Malignaggi's actually held world titles, but who has he beaten?
I don't know. I didn't really follow
Right.
him.
He lost to
too close.
Broner. He's had some bad decisions in Texas. My problem with Malignaggi is that he's a crybaby. Typical Italian.
Yeah.
You know? So it's okay for me to say it.
All right.
I caught some flack about the Asian jokes I made.
Didn't you say something like they all look the same? That's a pretty racist thing to say.
Yeah, but I was referring to all the Hugos at your school. Anyway,
It's still racist.
they don't get the
But-
inside joke.
Hey, it's cool.
Yeah. So, and what are your thoughts on bare knuckle fighting?
I like it. I mean, I would rather MMA turn into bare knuckle. I'd rather get rid of the gloves. It would change the whole sport.
I equate bare knuckle fighting to Dancing with the Stars.
Well, right now, yeah, for sure. I don't think it's gonna bare knuckle boxing is not gonna take off because what they're doing is
you've
they're
been
getting
asked to fight in bare knuckle,
they're getting washed up MMA fighters and
or
washed up boxers.
boxers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you have no shot at making any money anywhere.
Right. I'm disappointed when I see certain people in it. They're like, "Oh, you should just stay retired." Like, don't do that.
Yeah. Who
Like
gave you
Chris
that?
Lieben,
He gave you the
Phil,
feels.
Phil Baroni.
He gave you the feels.
I didn't say it gave me the feel. I said I wish.
Well,
they
no, you
wouldn't
were
do
just
it.
kind of like you got like, oh, you know, I felt-
disappointed in them.
Yeah,
You know,
the feels.
I want some people to be able to retire with grace.
So you think Phil Baroni's a guy that should and can retire with grace?
He should and he can.
I
It's
don't think
his only hope.
I don't think he's got the capacity.
We should do a whole podcast on Phil Baroni.
That would take up a lot of. Man, it's never good when the sound engineer's like, this podcast's not going so good. I'm getting out of here. So I'm not a fan of bare knuckle fighting. I think that anybody that is doing a bare knuckle fight has just decided that their career is over and it's a money grab.
Yeah, or they might just really like the competition, and they need money.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like it seems entirely too bloody and not. It's a spectacle. It doesn't seem like a sport.
Yeah, but I think MMA would be really cool. They should at least have like
Go back to the origins.
they should do it in like one or something where they can get away with that kind of stuff and just have like full on bare knuckle, no time limit stuff. That would be cool to see. And that's when I think you would see heel hooks would destroy people because the gloves would make it easier to get grips.
No
the
gloves.
lack of gloves would
Yeah.
make it easier to get grips, and the people can't punch as much without gloves on. You can't just start wailing on any part of the body without a glove on.
Right.
You have to be more precise with your shots.
Or you have to take some steam off of them, right?
Or you would see more grappling based. Even the striking would be more like elbows, headbutts,
Now,
knees.
do you think guys would work on those oddities of the traditional martial arts of like the hand hardening, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
if they had to.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to now. If you can cover your hand in tape and gauze and
So for you, can you let the listener know? Not for you, but for the listeners, let them know what's the difference between punching with a glove, without wraps, and with wraps. And I'm talking about wraps done by like a professional hand wrap guy.
when you get your hands wrapped, you could punch through a brick wall. And still sometimes boxers and stuff will break their hands with their hands wrapped, but it's rare. But even with just a glove on, you feel like you can punch a lot harder. But without a glove, if you miss one shot, like with a glove on, you can hit somebody in the side of the head 50 times and your hand will be fine. Without a glove, you hit somebody in the side of the head twice, your hand's shattered.
Right.
Even if you can, if they're still same 5-minute rounds, you make it through the first round. By the second, third, your hands are going to be completely useless, and that's going to change the way you grapple. It's going to change everything. So I think you would see a lot if you watch the old like Vale Tudo fights in Brazil. Like there was a lot of good strikers in there, like Muay Thai, but they weren't really trading punches and throwing these crazy combos like you see in MMA now.
And you see a lot more smacks too.
Yeah, a lot more open hands, elbows, headbutts, knees,
Or the pancrase style,
clinching.
like
straight palm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we are.
And you ever watch Rio Heroes?
Is Rio Heroes where they had the
They do it in like gyms and stuff.
the intergender matches?
They did one of them.
Yeah.
At least one that I saw. Yeah, that was cool.
I think the woman won, right?
Woman won, yeah.
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 It looked like she beat the piss out of the guy.
Well, she was. I think that should be used as an advertisement for jiu-jitsu because it's clear like that's a woman that knows jiu-jitsu and like a little bit of striking. The guy was like clearly like a pretty good Thai boxer, had like some good like punching and kicking techniques, but no ground skills, and the woman destroyed him, like totally dominated the fight.
Yeah, it looked like they do some of them in like racquetball courts, and
I saw one where they went through like a window, like there was like glass everywhere. They had to like pull them to the other side of the room to get away from the glass.
All right, we got the Worlds coming up.
IBJJF Worlds. Are you excited?
I don't know who's compete. So I was thinking about this. Who I'm excited for?
Yeah.
I'd like to see if Jamil Hill can repeat,
Mm-hmm.
be the second repeat American World Champion. Mike Musumeci,
Three-peat.
right?
That'd be cool.
I don't know if we're allowed to say it. I think Pat Riley owns a three-peat, but whatever.
Triple-peat.
Triple Pete. I think the show owns that now. If we do Triple Pete t-shirts.
We'll use that for our third show.
Okay. Hey, welcome to the Triple Pete. So, Jamil Hill, Mike Musumeci. I'm interested to see how Keenan does, just with like the changes in training and those things. And who else?
He's in a division with, I think, a couple other Atos guys.
Okay.
Which would be interesting. Because I've seen him beat, most of the time he'll get paired up with Atos guys,
and
like in
go.
the finals.
Yeah,
and he always wants to fight. I think that's one of the reasons why he got kicked out.
He doesn't do the bowing out or
he doesn't like to.
Right.
He said Galbao likes to, but he doesn't. So I've seen him beat Hinger, Barbosa, and Duarte. I've seen him beat them all pretty handily.
I was trying to think, who are the other Anglos that I'm thinking, non-Brazilians that I'm excited. The kid from Unity, the Australian kid that won Pans, Levi Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Interested to see because he got knee barred pretty viciously at the World Pro against some guy from Gracie Baja that I didn't know who he was. So just to see if he can kind of come in and because he was pushing for the Grand Slam.
Well, the Abu Dhabi doesn't count towards the Grand Slam.
I didn't say it did.
Okay, so he's still working on it.
Yeah. So
did he win Brazilian Nationals?
I know. So I thought the Grand Slam was Pans, right? Worlds.
Pans, Euros, Worlds.
Okay.
Brazilians.
Gotcha. All right. So I don't know when the Brazilians are. So I'm curious about him.
Ago.
Johnny Grippo, and he's in Jamil. Typically, him and Jamil Hill they go back and forth.
Yeah, I think
Are
they in the same weight?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
And did you see that Bruno Malfacini came out of retirement?
I didn't know he was in retirement.
He was, yeah. I think
for like a year?
Yeah, 10-time world champion. He's doing MMA in Japan.
Oh, okay.
And it looked like
he's super awesome.
Yeah, I'm like unbelievable. Like,
I think he's in the same with Caio Terra.
Yes, he's like always beats Terra.
Yeah.
It seems like
that's a good. I don't usually watch like the little guy divisions. I watched when Jamil Hill and Michael Musumeci. I like watching them.
Yeah,
because they're Americans. But other than that, I don't usually watch the tiny weight classes. I like the.
And Musumeci got invited to Abu Dhabi, which will be interesting to see him without the gi. I've never seen him.
I've never seen him without the gi.
Yeah. And he's a full-time student. I think I don't know if he's in medical school or law school or something, but he's like a real human being on top of being really good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So but what weight classes are you referring to that you're interested in seeing? Like who's in what?
The basically like middle heavy
on up. Okay.
Yeah, those are the ones that I really like to watch. Those I think are like the top guys.
It's usually where you get the most talent too, right? Like most of the numbers bunch up in the middle.
Right.
Right. You get the most amount of competitors in the middle weight classes and the least as you work your way out.
That's where like all the like big names like Felipe Pena, Keenan, Barbosa, Duarte, Buchecha, all those guys are in that.
Yeah, who's stopping Buchecha in the open?
Rocha.
You think?
He just beat him at the last time they competed against each other.
Okay.
He beat him.
Rocha's the guy that Keenan injured his knee with.
Gordon Ryan injured his knee.
Gordon Ryan injured his knee against Rocha. Yeah,
right.
Correct.
Yeah, he's good. He's big, strong dude, and it's usually him and Buchecha in the finals. So Buchecha usually wins. So that'd be cool. But and the Open's always cool too. But I think like I'm most excited to see, like you said, how Keenan does, because he's like his jiu-jitsu is like he's one of the most technical because he's clearly not very strong. He's like not strong, like not a powerful, explosive guy.
Right.
I'm sure he's grappling strong and everything.
And I've seen him lift some heavy weights. Like
Yeah.
he's not weak, but his game isn't, like Luke. His nickname isn't Hulk.
Right.
Yeah.
He's just like a wiry, scrambly guy.
Yeah.
And he's done really well against all the really good guys. I don't know if he's only been submitted maybe twice in no gi, and not even. I don't think I've ever seen him submitted with a gi.
Yeah. So twice by Gordon Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I love when the world's there. It's like I follow it on like Instagram, like all weekend. I'll try to watch on Flograppling when I can, but I'm usually not like sitting in front of a computer.
Speaking of Flograppling, what do you think of it?
It's an awesome concept. It's a terrible website.
Okay.
The website's like streams poorly. The search
Function.
is
It's hard to
terrible.
find matches.
The app sucks.
My big complaint with Flograppling is their social media. So they'll post, oh, check out what Homolo Barral said about training with Keenan. And I'm like, oh, that seems kind of interesting. And then I go to click on it, and you have to be a member.
Oh, you should get a membership.
I don't want one.
I think that's. What do you have a problem with them marketing their business?
So I have a problem with them marketing something that's behind a paywall.
I think that's the point. They're trying to get you to join, so you can hear it.
Clearly, they're not doing.
And I think it's worth. It's definitely worth it. I think.
Right.
They put up tons of instructionals,
No,
tons of interviews,
they have a lot of
tons of matches.
A lot of people are pushing back against them for that very same thing, like just because a lot of their marketing people will call clickbaity, where it's like, okay, you get to click on this. Typically, if I'm promoting something, right, like the videos that we promote to promote the show,
Right.
we're not telling people that you have to pay to see the clip.
No, we're not.
Right. We're good dudes.
We're also not putting out the amount of money that Flograppling puts out to fly these guys all over the world, pay for cameras. Like, come on, they're putting out tons of money. You can throw some money. That they do a lot of good for the sport.
Really?
Yes.
What do they do good for the sport?
They promote it. They promote it big.
Wait. So they're doing that for the sport, or they're doing that for the bottom line?
Both. Their bottom line goes down if the sport goes down. So they're doing it for the sport, and they're making money at the same
Could it be
time.
if their bottom line goes up, the sport could be going down as well?
I doubt it.
Why?
Because the more people that get interested in the sport, the more people can subscribe to their service.
They're not getting more people interested in the sport. They're getting more people interested in Flograppling.
No, I would say they've gotten me more interested in wrestling through what they do with their social media. I think they've done a really good job for wrestling, and I think they're doing a similar thing with jiu-jitsu. It's just a much smaller market.
So you're a shill for Flograppling.
Yes. No, Flograppling is. I think it's a terribly done service, but it's not that expensive. Like $200 for a year or something like that. Come on. For the amount that they put out, it's like constantly updated content. Like I said, tons of instructionals. Almost any match you want to see.
I just have an issue with when
Abu Dhabi live, the World's live, Pan's live, Euros live. Like
I'll wait.
Everything you want to see. If you're a true fan of jiu-jitsu and martial arts and grappling, then I think it's totally worth it. But I guess you just want to get stuff for free. That's cool too.
All right, I'll talk now.
Go ahead.
So when you're promoting something and you promote it from behind a paywall, I think that's bullshit.
What do you mean?
Do you know what a paywall is, right? Do I have to explain that to you? Or you
Please
know
explain it to me.
Okay.
You have to pay for it.
Yes. It's
Okay.
behind a wall, and you can't get behind that
Right.
wall unless you pay.
Right.
Hence the term paywall.
Right.
So most of the content that you get on social media is free.
Right.
Right? That's the standard. Like, all right, I follow you. You give me content.
Mm-hmm.
I continue to follow you. Maybe I become a subscriber. But if you're promoting something like, hey, check out using Homolo Barral, what Homolo Barral has to say about training with Keenan Cornelius. Well, that'd be kind of interesting because Homolo Barral is very well respected, high level grappler, elite, former world champion, whatever. And then, sorry, can't see it. You're not a member.
Well, they put out tons of free content. They have tons of stuff on YouTube. They have tons of stuff on their website for free.
This was not.
Just if you want to see the full interview.
No, it wasn't a full interview. It was just a clip.
Yeah, but you gotta pay for it.
No, I don't want to see it that bad. I think they're gonna get an unsubscribe. So be on the lookout.
They're gonna get what?
I'm gonna unsubscribe from them.
From where? You're not subscribed at all.
As social media. They're gonna lose a follower.
I think you should just bite the bullet. I'm not gonna share my password with you.
So here's the thing: somebody has given me their password, so when I want to watch stuff, I can.
Oh, what the fuck is wrong?
It's still offensive to me that
It's offensive to you that some people are trying to, at the same time, grow and spread the sport throughout the world, give people great content.
So you say that's
And
great content. It's okay.
It's good content. I'll tell you one problem I have.
You went from great to good real
No,
fast.
I do have problems. Some of it. A lot of it, like if you watch a lot of their videos, you can basically skip through the first 5 to 10 minutes because it's all just shots of them driving
to where they're going to
with
visit
like
the
that
guy?
sort of like highlight music.
Right.
You know, I don't even know what kind of music it is, but it's almost every highlight video has it at the beginning.
Right.
It's just them driving, like walking into buildings, looking around at stuff, walking down the street. It's like,
Yeah, shit that you don't need to know.
yeah, so like you can skip the first 5 to 10 minutes of their stuff, but they put out a lot of good stuff. I like it. It's worth it.
But it is interesting how you went from that great to good. Hopefully by the end of the
Kinda
podcast,
sucks.
it's garbage.
No, but like they're trying. They're all owned by Flow.
Flow Sports. And I think the
Sports.
guy's name is something Flow whatever. So that's just kind of odd. Anyway, and they're based out of Austin, Texas. I believe also the guy Highwell Teague, there's some problems around him where he was supposed to he did a GoFundMe. We were talking about the GoFundMe stuff earlier for, I think the movie was called Red Belt or something like that, about all the famous red belts, took the money and never made the movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
The guy that owns Flow Sports?
No, the guy that is one of the main interviewers and guys that works for Flograppling.
I saw it's coming out in July. It's called The Art of Self-Defense.
Okay.
You should look up the trailer for that. It looks awesome.
Is it like legit or BS?
It's like a dark comedy. It's
Okay.
it seems sort of like the Foot Fist way, but
Oh.
it seems like a darker
Okay.
version of that.
Yeah, I'll check it out. So yeah, that's kind of my issue. I think Polaris is tonight, right? Today?
Oh, it's on Fight Pass, I think, right?
Yes, not Flograppling on Fight Pass.
Something still behind a paywall though.
And I have a password for that too. So, but I'm not going to complain because
Who you
I
got?
feel like
You got Uriah Faber
versus
or Nicky Ryan? Who do you think?
Nicky Ryan
By submission?
by a moonshot.
Do they have? Is it still just goes to a draw if the time limit runs out?
I don't know.
Or do they have judges?
Yeah, couldn't tell you.
I think if they have judges, Nicky Ryan should win by like attacking. But I could also see Uriah Faber like just shutting him down and like holding him down for 20 minutes or whatever.
Have you heard about Uriah Faber talking about training for this fight?
No.
He goes, "Yes, I'm grappling up to 3 times a week." For the where Nicky Ryan's probably putting in like 30 sessions a week.
For sure, Nicky Ryan's a much better jiu-jitsu guy, but Faber's a great competitor. I think he could.
And a much more accomplished athlete.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he could definitely shut down attacks, but I don't see him submitting
I think Nicky Ryan.
anybody in jiu-jitsu, really.
Who,
but,
Uriah Faber?
yeah.
Yeah. But
especially not Nicky Ryan.
I think Nicky Ryan wins. And yeah, I think he wins by submission. I don't know if it'll be easy or not, but I think he has the requisite skills. And the kid, what's he, like 17 years old?
Yeah. And I talk to people that train up there, and they say he wipes the floor with almost everybody up there. Like grown ass men, adults, black belts.
Not surprised.
Yeah. I mean, I would be surprised.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If he wiped the floor with you?
I've never experienced a 15, 16, 17-year-old that I was like scared of,
Gotcha.
you know?
I don't think you need to be scared of him. Seems like
Well,
a nice
I'm just
kid.
saying that
Seems like a nice
like
kid.
I never like bumped into a 17-year-old and be like, man, this kid's tough. I've just always looked at them as like kids, but I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm sure it's crazy. Like that's one of the crazy things because he's only a purple belt, right?
I think so.
And I think a lot of these like blue belt, purple belt, like world champion level kids would destroy like most just like normal black belts.
Non-competitive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's when I think that's been true for a long time.
Yeah. But I think the level now is just way higher.
It definitely is, right? But
Yeah.
also the commitment to training time is way higher.
Mhm.
You're probably like a world champion today is putting in 2 to 3 times the amount of grappling hours than the world champion was in 1999 and 2000.
For sure. Yeah.
So moving on, my Australian best friend Craig Jones versus Mateus Lutis.
Let me guess who you got.
Gregory,
You guys been texting?
WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah?
I sent him a WhatsApp. He hasn't responded. He's busy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. He's got matches to prepare for.
Craig Jones should beat him.
I mean, Mateus Luz is a tough brown belt, but
Mhm.
he's no Kanan Duarte.
Not yet.
Might be there someday.
Yeah.
And Craig seems to do pretty well if he's got one match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes might not do so well if he's got successive matches after that, but his first match seems to usually go pretty well for him.
Yeah, he's a lot more than just a leg lock guy. His all around jiu-jitsu game's awesome. You see his match against Gabriel Arges?
Yes.
Like,
And Gabriel Arges is a very accomplished
took him
grappler.
down, passed his guard, and submitted him.
I
Took
think
his back and chokers. Maybe swept him, took him down.
And I think there was only a few seconds left in the match, which I give him, again, you know, we're best buds, so I'm real high on the guy. He still going for the finish with 5 seconds left.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
And when I was his coach when he went up against the dude from Lloyd's in Pennsylvania. What's
Spriggs?
Tim Spriggs, yeah. And he had caught him in 2 or 3 different arm locks, maybe busted his arm up a little bit with one of them, and then I believe finished him with a heel hook, but was using the leg lock game to enter into Kimura traps, into straight arm locks, back into the leg locks. So yeah, so I got Craig Jones. Mateus Ludus, very tough, but not.
I got Craig Jones too.
Yeah, nothing special.
I might watch that tonight. I don't know. There's no fights on tonight.
Let's since we were talking about Nicky Ryan and the youth of it, I sent you that article about would you want your child to be a prodigy? Yeah. And we probably could say that Nicky Ryan is a prodigy.
How do we define prodigy?
I don't know.
Well, we got to do it before we talk about it.
Why? Can't we just say the word and keep moving?
No, because then we could be talking about 2 completely different things.
You and I, or the people listening?
You and I, we're the ones talking. The people who are listening.
All right. So, what's your definition of prodigy?
I don't think they really exist. I think there's.
That's you're nullifying prodigy, not defining it. Define it, then nullify it.
All right. A prodigy is somebody that's just like naturally gifted to, like, they're destined to be whatever they are. Jiu-jitsu, violin player, piano player,
podcasting.
Yeah. I think there's people have talents.
Innate, God-given?
I think the innate God-given talent is like sort of the drive to sort of like get super focused on whatever it is they're doing, and then they'll bump into something that catches their like sort of attention, and that's what they get focused on and obsessed with. You know, and I think with Nicky Ryan it was jiu-jitsu, but I don't think there's anything special about him other than his sort of like work ethic. Like he's training more than pretty much everybody, which is why he's better than almost everybody. You know, so it's not.
So you don't think there's no inherent talent, like he doesn't have some gift
at jiu-jitsu? No, I think his gift is his drive,
which is in turn his gift.
Right.
You know, in finding a sport.
But that's not like the term prodigy. When you hear that, you think that they're just born being able to,
like, and after a couple lessons, they're doing it better than
right. And I don't think that's the case. And I don't think that's the case with anybody ever. There's a book called Mastery, where the guy talks about this kind of stuff, and he kind of goes down the list of like Da Vinci, Einstein, I forget some basketball player, a bunch of Jack Johnson, like just all the people that you think of as like the best at what they do. And then he goes into like their life story, and there wasn't any point where they just like woke up. Like Jack Johnson just didn't enter a boxing ring and start knocking people out. He put in like thousands and thousands of hours of rounds and like sparring and fighting to get to the point where he was the best. Same thing with Da Vinci. Like Da Vinci wasn't born just being a brilliant artist and inventor. He spent he would just go out into the woods every day and just like sit and stare at birds and like try to figure out how their feathers were.
So the work ethic at a young age is what defines a prodigy.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I can get behind that. So the article that I sent you, did you read the article? Mm-hmm. All right. It was talking about, do you want your child to be a prodigy, or do you want them to be a generalist, right? Specialist versus generalist at an early age. What's better, to push a 6-year-old into 8 hours a day of violining, or saying, hey, you could do the violin, you could also go play jiu-jitsu, go do gymnastics and all those other things. And I, as a parent, for me, I don't want my daughter to be a specialist at anything at this, or my boys either, to be a specialist at anything. Right, like I want them exposed to everything, because according to what this article was saying, is that the Jordan Burroughs of the world and, like the high level elite guys weren't manufactured at 6 years old.
Right.
That they happened to come across that, that love of the sport through trial and error of different things.
Like Tiger Woods says, like his dad never his dad never asked him to play golf. Like his dad, like he said, like even to this day, he's like, my dad's never asked me to go play golf. He's like, he gave me a golf club, and after I got that, I just wanted to play golf for the rest of my life.
Oh, really? Because I would just assume there was a different. I see this because
I
I
think that was
heard
in the
story.
article. Did you read the article?
I did read
that you
the
sent me?
article. I did read the article.
Because I think that was in the article.
I thought he said that his dad gave him a golf club,
Yeah.
and from there pushed him to golf.
But then he said, still to this day, my dad's never asked me to play golf.
His dad's dead.
That's just probably why to this day it still hasn't happened.
Right. So.
So you could take that, what you would want for your kids, and apply that to like a student, right? So do you want, when a student first comes in, do you want to be like, all right, you're going to be good at arm locks. You're going to be the arm lock king.
Right.
You show them everything, or the base of jiu-jitsu. And then like, as they go along their path, they'll gravitate towards what they're going to be good at. They'll get obsessed with like, I like the Kimura.
Right.
I like the front headlock.
Yeah.
I like to take people down and be on
Let
top.
them decide. Don't let somebody
It's-
else decide.
It's similar to, that's how I sort of approach coaching somebody. Is I'm not trying to like make them good at what I do, I'm trying to figure out what they're good at and let them grow into it, And I think that usually happens around like a purple belt, is when they start figuring out their style and what they're going to be focused on.
So yeah, so I agree with you. Even if we were to take a child out of it, right, and a student,
Students are like kids.
Yeah, they are. They're like childish children.
Mm-hmm.
But getting them a basis, right? Getting them to understand all the movements of jiu-jitsu, and later on down the road, hey, if you want to specialize in Leglocks, you want to specialize in the Kimura, as long as you have this this jiu-jitsu base, for sure. Yeah, why would you have anything else? But I know too many dads that put so much pressure on their kids to be, like the world's greatest 7-year-old at X sport. It's almost ridiculous.
So I don't have any kids yet.
Nor should you.
But I would definitely want my kid to be a prodigy. I wouldn't try to make him a prodigy. I wouldn't try to force him into it, but I would love it if my kid, like, he walked into the gym and just like ran on the mats and never wanted to leave. Like, that would be great. I would want to have my kid be a prodigy at something, especially jiu-jitsu.
What kid would not want to leave a gym?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have kids. So.
Okay. Yeah. None of them usually want to leave. They all hang out after to play.
But yeah, I would want a kid dedicated to like, sort of obsessed with like working and getting better at it. But I just really hope that when I have a kid that he doesn't choose something like baseball or something like that.
Why not? Big money in baseball.
I don't care about that. I have to go to baseball games. I'd rather just go to the gym.
Okay.
And train with them.
All right. What happened with your fighter?
Both fighters won.
How?
One decision, one vicious TKO. It was great.
Let's go into the decision.
It was Jessica Amend. It's her first fight.
Never heard of her.
You will.
Yeah?
She's going to be big.
Rising star?
She's big on the Hamburg, PA amateur Muay Thai scene.
I've heard about it.
Yeah. But she had a great fight. Rough first round. She kind of got sucked into like a boxing match. Excuse me.
Now, in the States, is that what a lot of amateur Muay Thai boils down to a lot of times? Is it looks more like a crappy boxing match?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Okay.
But she got it together in the second and third round, started using because she was fighting this girl that was much shorter than her.
Okay.
And the girl was doing a lot of like crazy stuff, like spinning around. But
spin to win, baby.
Yeah, it turned into like a boxing match for the first round. And then after that, she started using kicks and clinch knees and stuff. And then
What was the rule set?
It was Muay Thai rules. You could clinch as long as you were busy. They would let you go.
Elbows?
No elbows. No,
okay.
It's amateur Muay Thai. You can't throw elbows, and you have to wear headgear and shin pads. And PA, you can't. You can do at a certain point. I think you can do it without headgear.
I know MMA has like ABC levels. Does amateur Muay Thai do the same thing?
And then, I know in New York, amateur Muay Thai you can do it with no shin guards and just elbow pads.
Okay.
You can do, and you can do
so
elbows.
Full rules, just elbow pads.
Yeah, which is cool. And then second guy up was Trey Hoffner. He TKO the guy in the first round. It was awesome.
How? What?
Actually, the guy corner threw in the towel.
He's really
He dropped the guy twice.
Wait, the guy's wearing headgear, shin pads. How heavy? How big were the gloves?
12.
12 ounce.
Mm-hmm.
and he was able to beat him up that bad with all that protective equipment.
Yeah, the guy's head was getting fucking bounced all over the ring.
No. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And you could tell when you saw like the weigh-in picture, it was, like you could see like the one guy looks like a professional and one guy looks like
is Trey Hoffner the guy that wants to be really good at everything, or is that somebody
No,
else?
he's a different guy.
Trey Hoffner doesn't want to be good at anything.
Just Muay Thai right now. And he's on his way. But yeah, he came out. His it was cool because his opening combination and his finishing combination were basically the same. I told him like, first thing you go out there, he's gonna throw a cross hook leg kick, and I was like, that's all you focus on. Just go out there.
He's gonna throw.
I was like, that's what you're gonna throw. Okay. That's all you worry about throwing. After that, we don't know what's gonna happen, but you're at least gonna throw a cross hook and a leg kick.
Right.
And he did, and then like 10 seconds later, he dropped the guy. Guy got back up. 30 seconds later, he dropped him again, and then as he's waiting
him with the cross, the hook, or the leg kick.
First one was a punch. Second one was a leg kick, and then third one the towel came in after the.
Now, I know, like, how bad was this guy?
He was a Taekwondo guy.
Okay.
He threw like 3 or 4 like spinning wheel kicks.
Was he kind of jumpy, hands low?
It was interesting. We had watched some video of him and his Taekwondo fights, and he was, he looked good at Taekwondo. Then when we saw him there, he was wearing boxing trunks.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, this guy.
It's like that time you wore the Penn wrestling shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think he was trying to fake us out. And then I watched him warming up with his coach, and they were just doing hands, like Mayweather style, like sort of pad work, but not like Mayweather, just.
Yeah, because Mayweather looks like they're
just that sort of like
Mayweather, his uncle and his dad look like they're in the Matrix when they're holding pads.
Yeah, it didn't look like that, but it was that sort of style where it's just like tap, 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 tap,
like Coach Navone.
But then when he came out to fight, his hands came down and he started spinning around and throwing kicks. So I think the guy was really trying to fake us out. But
he would have probably did better if he'd have just stuck to his hands.
Yeah, he probably would have. Because actually, Trey got his nose broken somehow. In some exchange, I guess the guy hit him at one point, but we didn't see any punch land. But somehow Trey's nose got broken in the middle of the fight, but he still won. So.
That's cool. So you're happy with the outcomes?
Very happy. Yeah, it's funny how like happy and like joyful everyone is after a win.
Right.
And then I tell him, I was like, remember this, because when you lose, it does not feel at all like this. It's like it's polar opposite. It's just quiet.
It's worse than the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's like quiet. Nobody knows what
somber.
to say. Yeah.
I think somber is the right word.
Yeah, yeah. And the only way to break through that is like what we always do. We kind of like
have fun with it.
Just make fun of each other.
Yeah. Make a Facebook text.
Yeah. And then I had a bunch of kids competed. They did well in the Good Fight Pan Ams.
I'm not getting sucked into another semantic argument. No, I'm not doing it.
So I told, kids did well. They got like 2 silvers and a bronze, and then I had this one kid who's a wrestler. He got, I think, 4 gold medals. And then the promoters, this is how you know it's a legitimate tournament. They gave his mom a gold medal just because she hung around all day.
Gold medal mom. That's awesome. So as the instructor and the coach, like I know you like clearly seeing them win makes you feel good, but like what goes through your mind like when he won? Like what were your feelings like?
I was just
Trey or the what was her name?
Anybody wins, I'm happy. I'm not like jumping over the moon about it, but it's like good, you won, you should win.
You're prepared to win.
Yeah, like I'm not. There are some times when I have, like, mostly I see this in jiu-jitsu when like somebody will like pull a performance out of their ass that I didn't expect. But my favorite is when I see somebody that's competed like 2 or 3 times and they've failed, and then it clicks and they win and they get that first win and like seeing like that's like what I really like.
Yeah.
And then I also like when I have a guy that's just a beast and just wipes everybody out.
Right.
So those 2 are my favorite, when guys aren't good and become good, and when guys are really good and just destroy everybody.
And continue to be good.
Yeah, those are my 2 favorite parts of coaching. We got any questions?
We got plenty of questions. There's some things we didn't cover, but we can move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. So if anybody has any questions for Tim and I, you can direct them to ninjarobpodcast@gmail.com, and we will answer them on the show itself. We have 2 questions. Both of them come from people that I know. And the first question is from Dom Morano. He is a 63-year-old white belt at NJMA, and he wants to know if he can get better with limited to no rolling because of injuries and injury concerns. I pose that to you, Tim Carpenter.
Well, if you're not going to roll, how do you know if you're getting better? I mean, I would say the rolling is the sort of a way to judge it. You don't need to compete to get better.
Okay.
I do think you need to. I do think you need to roll. But if he's got injuries and injury concerns, and he's 63, you just need to be smart about who you train with.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you have another 63-year-old guy there, or a 50-year-old, or just but there's people there that can roll with anybody. And then there's people that you have to keep them separate from almost everybody.
Yeah, and he injured his back the last time he was there, and it was a day that I wasn't there.
Right.
Right. So he's probably just training with anybody.
Right.
And they're just like, I'm beating this old man up.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it might not be that they want to beat the old man up, but
No,
it's that they don't want to lose to the old man.
Right.
So
they're not sitting there saying I'm going to fuck this 63-year-old dude up.
But some people, especially at an early level, they don't have the control to deal with somebody that's less physically capable than them.
Right.
So
I disagree with you. I think you can get better without training.
Nice. Well, there goes our business.
No. When I say training, I'm referring to training live. I don't think so the question isn't, can you get better without taking class?
Mm-hmm.
Can you get better if you just take class, work technique, and don't roll all the time?
All the time.
All the time.
I agree, but I would say you can do rolling. You just have to have the right partner and the right sort of guidelines for the roll. I could roll with this guy, and he could get a great workout and execute techniques. One of my favorite parts of jiu-jitsu is sort of the flow rolling.
Yes.
Where it's it's not a competition. It's just we're going to go through the moves. I don't think it should be the basis of your training, but it should be something that you do. I like to use it to warm up. I like to use it when I'm really beat up and tired. It's a good way to just break a sweat and sort of get the feel of a roll.
So now what's his responsibility there then, in the sense of he should be setting that tone then?
Right.
It's hey, man, we're
right. And now he's white belt, you said?
Yeah.
So he probably doesn't have
a year and a half.
Right, but he probably doesn't have the ability to control his body. So if he starts rolling, he might be exerting himself too much.
I don't mean controlling it actually physically and saying with his partner, hey, I know we're rolling live, but do you mind if we flow roll?
Right.
Right. So just kind of setting the actual terms of the training up.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I do that. I did that the other day because I didn't want to train, but there was this giant guy that was sitting out. So I was like, all right, let's do a round, but I'm going to show you, this is how, I'm not going to try to tap you out. So I don't want you to be defensive. Just go through execute your techniques on me.
Let's move around.
Right. So we just moved, and we got and he started to at first he was still super tense, and then he loosened up, started moving, and his jiu-jitsu got better in that 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Because he kind of saw had some light bulb moments, where he saw oh, I can, I don't have to just fight. I can think and use my techniques that I worked on.
Right. So I mean, and that's part of it. And I'm a fan, as I think as much as you are, of the flow rolling, but it can't be the only way you roll.
No. Right.
Like you're saying, you use it to warm up. You use it if you're tired, you're banged up, you're beat up. And those kinds of things to be able to, what I tell my students is we use flow rolling to give us the ability to increase our perceptual awareness.
Mm-hmm. I think it's good for, it's just like drilling. It's sort of like a live drill. It's good for your timing. It's great. I think that's what he should focus on.
So he should Dom, I think Tim and I agree that yes, you can get better to a certain degree. Right? You're not going to get better like a 25-year-old gets better. You're getting better like a 63-year-old gets better with certain physical limitations. But flow rolling is something that you could do to get better. But also, you can't. So make sure when you tell people that you're flow rolling,
that you flow.
You're not coming at them like it's the 63-year-old world championships.
Right.
That's
Tell him to come in on Sunday. I'll flow roll with him.
okay. If he's listening, he'll come in. So there you go. Question number 1. Question number 2 comes from Ben Corman. He's a white belt from Balance Studios, and he wants to know: does a true martial artist have to compete or fight, or can it be someone who trains and makes it part of his life?
Yeah, true. Like fighting and competing doesn't really have much to do with being a martial artist. I don't think. I think to a certain extent, for myself personally, like I wanted to fight and compete in order to be able to feel like I could teach with confidence for myself. But I don't think that nobody needs to compete. I think everybody should do it as part, just to sort of like experience it and test themselves. But it's not at all a part of like, you need to do this, because most people won't ever do it. Out of all the students in the gym,
Usually about 10%.
let's say let's say you have 100 students, maybe 10 will be people that compete. Out of those 10, you might have 2 that are like serious competitors that are like driven to like always win. So the majority of people aren't going to compete. And no, it's not necessary at all.
Yeah, I agree. Again, this is really, there's not been any action between
All right,
you and I today.
I'll disagree.
No. That just seems like you're fabricating an argument here. But I agree with you as well. Like the idea of being a martial artist isn't because you can beat up another opponent. It's the idea of mastering yourself. And, using you as the example again, part of your self-mastery took you through fighting.
Right.
Right? To reach your goals, you went through fighting, got through it, and continued to be a martial artist. But not everyone needs to go through that path. If you have certain goals, then
right.
Yes, you have to go through competition. But if you don't, then you don't have to. Because you can, like, literally with jiu-jitsu, you could compete every day in the gym.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to go to a tournament and compete. And it's different competing in a tournament, but still you can get a high level of the competitive juices flowing just with your training partners.
But also, the good thing about competition is it keeps you kind of serious and honest. So you shouldn't, because I'm saying that you don't have to compete or fight, doesn't mean that you shouldn't be like ready to compete or fight at any time. That's what I think being a martial artist is, like
always being ready,
always being ready and being confident and capable in any situation. Not that you need to, but you should be ready for it. So like you should approach your training not really like you're competing in the worlds, but you should approach your training in a competitive way, even if you're just competing with like yourself. You know what I mean? Like you want to push yourself to do.
Right, you don't want to get beat up every roll you have or every sparring.
You should be always trying to win, escape. You shouldn't be accepting bad positions. You shouldn't be laying there defensively. You should be on the attack, trying to get out of bad positions. And if you get tapped out, you get tapped out, and you keep going. It's like that's what I think being a martial artist is like, just going through the martial part
of the art. Yeah, again, as boring as this is, I agree with you that those are all things that we need to do, and we all should do.
So we need to get some better questions next time.
Well, I mean, you didn't bring any. Your people, right? These are guys that I know.
I don't think I know either of these guys. Have
No,
I
you
ever met
don't.
Dom?
You maybe have. He's a 63-year-old bald-headed white Italian man, maple shade.
But you like him.
Do I like him?
Mm-hmm.
No, I like Dom. He's a good dude. Real
Even
good
though
guy.
even though he's a paisan.
He's not in the same category as Paulie Malignaggi. No. So yeah. We need better questions. No, we just need questions. What
more controversial questions?
Yeah,
Something I'll get.
But the other thing is, I don't think we need to fabricate controversy.
I do.
Well, you might feel that way. I mean, I'm just not going to feed into it. So let's get into the most controversial aspect of the podcast.
What's that?
You keep saying that people are saying the.
Yeah.
Where I have data that shows The beautiful part is everybody thinks that I'm in one camp or the other. These are both your sentences.
Right.
A and the are both yours.
Yeah. So I went with what Devin said, and he said you don't want to have the and the, but several people that you and I both respect have said.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to name them.
Kyle.
Sermonera? Respect that guy a lot.
Yeah.
Respect that guy a lot.
He likes the. Brian McNulty. I haven't heard from that dude.
I texted him
like,
the other day.
I haven't heard from him in maybe 10 years.
Right.
And he just texted me. He's like,
man, you see what we're doing? We're bringing people together.
Definitely
with the podcast
is what he said.
Yeah. And I have other people, and I don't even know if you respect them or not, and I can't even remember their names.
Doubt it.
But I have plenty of people that are saying, yeah, man.
But I mean, I think it's settled. The South African guy says "thee" for thee.
I really like his accent. He killed it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah, because you came to me with some lame, do you want an American? Do you want a woman? Do you want a Brit?
Yeah.
I shot right out of the gate, Afrikaner.
Kind of combined them all.
Yeah. Devin, where are we on time? How are we doing with time?
10 minutes over.
Oh, we are. Oh, man.
Oh,
I
nice.
thought last time we got like a thing, 5 minutes left.
I thought y'all had a clock or something, man. It's cool, though.
I mean, it feels like it's petering out.
That's it.
I'd like to thank our wonderful host.
Thank you.
Not, you're my sidekick, bro. Relax. So you can thank me. Go ahead.
You're welcome.
Our wonderful host here, Devin Wade at SFX Studios, for you know why it sounds so good. And we've gotten a lot of compliments, Devin, on the sound. So come get your podcast recorded here at SFX Studios. It's worth it because it'll sound amazing. The last thing people want to listen to is a crappy sounding podcast.
How did I do on the mic? Better?
Good this time.
Better. See that?
Yeah, whatever. You can.
That's what it's all about.
Getting better.
Constant improvement.
Yes. So Devin Wade, SFX Studios. I also like to thank Eddie Lynn, who does our post-production, the videos that you see, putting it out there. And also DJ Major Taylor for the original music.
Who's that?
Ralphie Darby.
Oh, Ralph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How great was that?
Yeah, it
Our
was
friends
awesome.
coming together. Loving what we're doing.
Well,
How popular do you think the second episode is going to be? Yeah, we'll see.
I guess we'll find out.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Until next time.